Good morning, everyone. Tanze, my name's Kate Elliott, and I am Scottish Cree Métis. My family comes from Selkirk, Manitoba, and again, I'd just like to acknowledge the Coast and Strait Salish people, where the territory we reside on. I haven't had the opportunity to meet many of you just because I am out of cycle, and I didn't actually complete my practicum. My project was independent and has to do with the work I do in my personal life. So I'm the Minister for Youth for Métis Nation in British Columbia, and we're the provincially recognized representative for Métis people, and I was provincially elected into this role. I had no idea what I got myself into, and I am an awful politician, and I'm probably going to get yelled at by my CEO being like, I can't believe you said that in front of a group of people, but I'm here to tell the truth, and there's no point sugarcoating it. So one of the initiatives I'm involved in is called the United Aboriginal Youth Collective, and it's a partnership with these 5 youth-serving organizations within British Columbia. It's a partner with the Ministry of Aboriginal Relations and Reconciliation. It was established in 2006. So we have the Knowledge Aboriginal Youth Association, so KAYA, we have BC Assembly of First Nations Youth Council of BC Associations, Métis Nation in British Columbia, BC Association of Friendships and Provincial Youth Council. As you can tell, the acronyms are just insane. So there's a copy of the logo. So pretty much each of these 5 organizations partner with MAR and receive capacity funding, as well as part of the reciprocity in that we work with the ministry and consult on initiatives that involve Aboriginal youth within British Columbia. So we usually work with legislation, policy, initiatives, programs, and service, and to really ensure that the youth's voice is actually being heard in decisions that affect them. So the objective of the report, we also held our 7th annual youth forum last year in Tofino, and kept the whole focus on Aboriginal youth skills and employment, which is a new type of direction that we've been taking the last couple of years regarding funding dollars. So the point of the forum and the report was to create a position paper that would allow the continuation of funding of holistically based youth-serving programming rather than very narrow skills and training funding. I'll allude to what the skills and training is in just a little bit. We need to utilize evidence-based information in order to make interventions and to create these changes. And unfortunately, the direction that we've really been going hasn't been evidence-based. We know the social determinants of health. We know the importance of culture. We know some of the challenges that our youth are facing. So kind of this direction we're taking, probably should have switched the slides around, but really it fails to address the root of the problem. So we hosted this forum, and what we found is when it comes to advocating for Aboriginal rights or policies or changes, it doesn't matter how great your report is, it really doesn't carry the same type of weight and meaning as that experiential learning. And I think that's one of the biggest challenges when you're trying to communicate cross-culturally. It's something that cannot be done effectively until you bring that. And we've had lots of experiences with government and stakeholders and funders, and really that type of gold standard was to get them to meet the youth and get them to see the decisions and the people who affect the work that they're doing. We invited Minister Rustad, who's the, I'm getting nervous, who's the Minister for Aboriginal, is the Minister for MAR. Okay, let's just move on. So I have a bit of like a $1 million question for you. So why is Aboriginal youth employment important to communities, governments, and Canadians around? I really, it sounds very, very simple, but just, take a minute to reflect on that, because I think until we have a firm, persuasive argument, especially around Canadians, we're going to be slow to see the changes necessary in order for this population to become healthy. and to break down the colonization and institutionalized racism. So just, some lovely facts that we all know around Aboriginal health. Our population has quite a bit of challenges, and especially, again, around employment. It's interesting to see that we have this data and we have this information, but yet we stopped funding programming that supported health and well-being and that health promotion. So it's a little kind of counterintuitive. So just a little bit back of funding, and this is where I'm gonna get in trouble. So prior to 2012, we did have funding that supported youth in communities and well-being and health promotion. It was a rather good time. That wasn't without challenges. So before, our main funders, especially for the 5 youth-serving organizations, was Cultural Connections for Aboriginal Youth, CCAY, and that was administered through the Department of Canadian Heritage. Anyone get money from them before? Okay, we'll leave it at that. So just an example from that is that I used to run youth-based programming within Métis Nation of Greater Victoria, and it was very common for me to receive my funding in second to last week in February and have to spend it all by the end of fiscal, which is March 31st. Very frustrating, and large amounts of dollars, and it's not meeting the objectives of what this funding was dealt for. So in 2012, this funding was removed based on the lack of evaluation data and means of effectiveness, which if we take a look at that, we can actually see what was really going on and the dynamics between that. So in 2012, that Cultural Connections was cut, which totaled around $22 million. It was 2 days before National Aboriginal Day. It left kind of a bad taste in people's mouths. We quickly realized that, government quickly realized, based on protesting and kind of outrage from the larger greater community, that this was not a smart choice and we needed to continue to support this population. Even though it continued under Aboriginal Affairs in Northern Development Canada, the lack of inconsistency of funding and those breaks really threatened a lot of our agencies, a lot of people's jobs. As we heard Catherine say yesterday, most of the nonprofit work that's done within these organizations is funding related and poses some challenges. Oh my goodness, I am talking way too long. So we have Aboriginal skills and employment. So this is really the new direction that everything's taking, is that, we don't no longer really want to fund health, well-being, culture. We want this population to be part of the economic workforce. And if everyone's been paying attention in BC, that's really created to LNG and oil and gas. So now we've seen a huge shift and a redirection of all of our funds into oil and gas industry and pointing the youth to, hey, we have this population that's the largest growing in Canada. Let's shove them in this direction to meet those needs. And there's a lot of issues with that, and the youth pick up on that. Like, they know when they're getting pushed in one direction. And it was really evident at the youth forum. So understanding employment. There's a relationship between health and employment. It's multifaceted. And I think the big thing that we're still trying to advocate for is that our youth need to have positive self-esteem, positive self-efficacy, and be healthy in order to participate in the workforce. I really ran out of time. So this is a graph that, within collaboration with some of our youth partners, that we kind of came up with to really try and communicate all the things that affect health and affect employment. And it's not as simple as providing work boots or providing food safe or providing these very simple measures. It's a lot more complex than that. I was going to show you a video, but just to quote one of my colleagues, culture always has the answer, and I can't communicate that enough. We need these kids to be culturally confident, because that's what keeps them strong, and that's that one piece that I wish I could communicate, and just wish I could say that and it would really resonate. So the youth recognized the connection between culture and workplace. A lot of our youth spoke to the need that they want to bring their culture to the workplace with them and not be separated from that. Youth also want to have advocacy roles within making the decisions. So some of our recommendations from the report was, increasing the flexibility of health promotion activities and using those funding dollars, supporting the employers, bridging gaps between education and the employers. Not only do our youth face stigma against being Aboriginal, but they also as millennials, and continue to collaborate with the UAYC. And again, I just want to acknowledge the colloquiate territory which we gathered on, and all my colleagues at the United Aboriginal Youth Collective. This is a totem that the youth created during the youth forum and was gifted to the local community. And yeah, I had 4 seconds left.
Questions, comments? Anybody?
Okay, that's fine. Let's go.
Thank you, Kate.
Oh, we got a question.
Oh, we do.
I didn't get out of that.
Asha. You're not off the hook yet.
So that was great. Thank you so much. I'm just wondering if you wanted to talk about your personal learnings a little bit. And
I think my biggest let me find my page here. There was a lot, and I think, burnout is very, very real, and there's been times where I've had my elders be like, you're not quitting. We're not letting you, like, good luck kind of thing. And I think with the personal learning is just, what we're moving towards is we're taking those steps backwards, and now we're looking at a Band-Aid approach. And I think for me, my learning comes from is that we know this won't work. We have a bit of the evidence, but how do we communicate that and really stand up and try and create those changes? Really fortunate, we're having meetings in March with the minister and a bunch of other officials to really talk about this. It'll be interesting to think how things will pan out. But yeah, anyone else? Can I go? Just me.
Okay, I think we could let her go, huh?
Oh, thank you. Sorry, I ran outside.
Thank you, Kate.